You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Excited you can join me here today on this Friday review. Really do enjoy being able to share with you pretty much what's been going on over the past week. Always so many great things to share, especially from our online community that we've built here. And also a lot of research, product reviews, and of course, our super nutrient of the week. I've got a bunch of research for you today that I want to share that's really relevant. So one of the important things that I always want to be doing on the Cabral Concept is only really sharing things with you that truly matter and that you can actually take action on. Because there's so much research out there that I read, but it's irrelevant in the real world, meaning that it works fine in a laboratory, but it would never hold up in the actual real world where people don't live in a sterile environment. So when I bring you a product review or I bring you some research, it's because I'm either using it in my practice or I'm using it myself or, of course, with my family. So I just want you to feel that the pieces that I'm giving you really all do come together, and some you'll use, some you won't use. But the truth is that it's not always about us, right? It's that there are things that we're going to learn in life that we should then be able to share with someone else. So there's a lot of things that I read or information that I listen to or other podcasts that I listen to, other videos that I do watch, that I know that the information won't be applicable to me, but it might be applicable for those in my practice, for, of course, my family, or whatever it might be. And so that's the nice thing, is that a lot of the information that we get, let's pass it on. Let's share it with others. That's really what it's all about. And the last thing I'll say before I get right into the show is that always keep yourself open. Too many people today classify themselves as one thing. They're keto, they're CrossFit, they're interval-based trainer. Back in the day, it used to be, I'm just a kettlebell-based trainer, or I'm a functional whatever. So what I want to do is I always want to keep ourselves open. Now, that might be the predominance of what you do, which is functional-based exercise, or you might be predominantly a lower carb believer, whatever it might be. But just keep yourself open to the possibility that besides yourself, other diets, other forms of exercise, other forms of lifestyle and movement or yoga might be great for others as well. And they might be great for you too as an adjunct, as an add-on to what you're currently doing. So that's my little mini rant for the day. And now let's get right into the what's new, what's been happening over this past week. So one thing that I've been getting quite a bit on our private support group, and I know many of you know that's over at cabralsupportgroup.com. It's just a fancy URL that links you over to the free Facebook group. It's a closed group because all the information in there is private just for our community. But everyone is welcome to join. It's free to join. It's your way of getting your questions answered on a near daily basis. And so that's the thing. We have amazing health coaches from my team right in there, and they're answering your questions. I pop in too a couple times a week, and I rapid fire answer 20, 30 questions at a time. And of course, I'm always reading all of the different comments because that's your feedback. And that's important to me. So I read every single comment. I should say every single post in there. And I also ask questions to you. So that's over at Cabral Support Group. It's obviously a Facebook group and it's completely free to join. We just ask that you be a positive person in the group. We don't allow for negativity or hating on others or anything like that. That's just not what I'm trying to build up in this world and, of course, in our online community as well. But, of course, you can come with anything that you're suffering from, and it's our job to help point you in the right direction. So one of the comments that kept coming up or posts is, when is the next seasonal detox? Because you know that part of the overall Ayurvedic and natural health philosophy is that with each season, you would do a detox, and it simply gets you ready for the next season, and it removes any accumulation from the season before, because as the summer was there, the body will accumulate its own set of toxins, same with the winter. We'll talk about that more on the Ayurvedic shows. I'll be talking about that, of course, with the doshas and how they actually relate to the seasons. Well, every September, I do a detox, just like we do right before the 4th of July in the summer, and then, of course, in the winter, and then early around March as well. But we'll talk about that. All the dates are subject to each calendar year. But this year, our community detox, as of right now, looks like it's going to be starting on September 10th. Now, you don't have to do it just on September 10th, but that is when I will be beginning it with the group inside the Facebook group. So just by ordering your detox this weekend or next week, you'll receive it in time to be a part of the group if you choose to. It's just the Dr. Cabral Detox. You can choose from a 7, 14, or 21-day detox. That just depends on your level that you're looking for detoxification or for weight loss. Many people in the group are no longer looking for weight loss, such as myself, but we do it to keep our bodies healthy because we're always accumulating toxins. This is not something that's made up. I talked about it in depth in the Rain Barrel Effect with over 300 scientific research studies, and there are now over 77,000 man-made chemicals in the environment. I run hair tissue mineral analysis. I run organic acids tests. I run toxicity-based tests, and you will not find a person alive without some type of accumulation of heavy metals, pesticides. If you tuned into yesterday's show, you can understand why literally one of the largest cancer-causing chemicals is all around us. It's in the air. It's on the food. So just really important that we don't worry about this. We don't get nervous about it, but we do take the proper measures to remove it from our body. So very simple. I now do a 7-day detox every season, and that's been going on for myself for 7 years. And so, again, I used to do the larger ones in the beginning, which were the 21-day detoxes, and now I do the 7-day detoxes. You're welcome to do what you feel is the right fit for you. So our community will be starting on September 10th. That is one day after Labor Day here in the United States. So basically, people are back into their work schedules on September 4th. We give everybody a week to kind of get back into the school schedule, work schedules, all that jazz. And then the next Monday, we're going to get back into removing all that summer accumulation, maybe of, again, here in the US or in Canada and also in Europe as well. Remove a lot of the alcohol, a lot of the more liberal-based eating from summer and get back into a nice, healthy fall routine. Again, our friends in Australia, they're on a little different seasonal chart, but again, still applies for them as well. All right, next item is that the Activated B Complex. That is our free giveaway this month. We are now at just about, I'd say actually just over 500 bottles. We have about 68 bottles left at last count. I don't actually count them, but my team lets me know those will be gone today or easily by this weekend. So obviously, there's no pressure. It's free, so I'm not selling anything. But if you want to pick up your free bottle of Activated B Complex, simply go to equilibriumnutrition.com and you'll see that free offer right there as well. That's the product that I use myself personally, especially under times of stress. 1 capsule at lunch, in addition to your daily nutritional support shake in the morning, helps buffer stress. Really an amazing product for energy, stress, performance, energy, etc. Okay, and the last one that I want to go over is a lot of excitement around the chocolate shake coming out. I told you that we're hoping for a September 1st, a launch date for that. Really excited about it. We just have to make sure it gets into our fulfillment center, that it's ready to go. We did a limited edition run of this. Why? Because we want to get your feedback. So the whole point of me manufacturing, creating these custom-based products is to create a product that hasn't been out there before. So we've had our vanilla shake now for, well, many, many years. And now people wanted chocolate. That was you. That was you asking us for a chocolate version of that. So that's exactly what we did. Same vitamins, same minerals, same 15 grams of vegan-based protein in it. Completely vegan, dairy-free. It is gluten-free. It is non-GMO. It's organic. It's all the good stuff, of course, that you would want to put in your body and that I want to put in mine. So I use the vanilla. My wife loves the chocolate. Of course, I already have the early run, so I have the chocolate. And again, everybody has their own preference. That's great. Like, it's absolutely great. And I mix mine with a lot more fruit. I prefer the vanilla, and she likes to make hers more chocolatey. And so, again, it's good for everybody. And this is also fine for children as well. So that's that. That will be out hopefully September 1st, limited edition run. And the reason I bring that up as well is I want your feedback. So we only ran a couple thousand bottles of that. And the reason we did that is I want to know how you like it. I want to know how you like the flavor. We did 2 focus groups, or was it 3? Well, 2 to 3 focus groups before on the flavor matching to make sure that it was the perfect type. We went back and forth 3 different times, and we finally got it to what we feel is perfect based on people's feedback, like real world feedback. We just gave it to people. What do you think? What do you think the flavor? Do you think it's too rich? Do you think it's too sweet? Do you think it's too dull? And we found one right in the middle. The middle ground does seem to be what most people enjoy the most, because they can always make it a little sweeter if they want, with a little pinch of stevia, or if they want to put in a dash of maple syrup, whatever you like to sweeten it with. A little raw honey, you could do that, but we don't want to make it overly sweet. And of course, it's very, very little sugar, and any sugar that's in there, of course, is just an organic, natural-based sugar. So that's that. Now, the reason I bring it up is, what else would you like us to create? There's a limited amount of products that Equilibrium Nutrition makes that I formulate for Equilibrium Nutrition. And the reason is that if there's already great product, I just promote that product. You'll hear me promote products a little later on the show. And that's because I love the functional medicine industry, and I love the orthomolecular, which is the nutritional supplement-based part of that. But if there's a product that you think you would like to see improved on, for example, we'll be creating bars for 2019. And these will be school safe, and they'll be nut-free, and there'll be all those great things that we want, but dairy-free, gluten-free. But I would like to hear your feedback. What other products do you love that we might be able to help improve upon as well? Because we're not going to create a million products, but we'll create a couple more based on the feedback of our community. All right, thank you for allowing me that little update of what's new, what's going on in our community. And now I want to bring you to, they're like half product review, half research. The research always comes first. So let's go with the research, and this is really important. So most women, while pregnant, and again, maybe you're not pregnant, maybe you may never become pregnant, any of these things. But what I want you to know is that you'll most likely know someone sometime in your life that will become pregnant or is pregnant. So share the information with them. That's what it's all about. Okay. And this is just out February 28th, 2018, I believe. March 1st or February 28th, right around there. The Imperial College London looked at 400 studies involving over 1.5 million people. And what they found was this. So most women know before they become pregnant, they want to be using a methylated prenatal vitamin. I'll link up to a methylated prenatal vitamin as well. And they know that that's good for them. That's what they should be taking. Okay. But most women don't know that there's a lot of research on taking fish oil as well as a daily probiotic. So let's go over the daily probiotic first, because this is something that's overlooked. The Imperial College of London found, and this, let me see, I think this was published in PLOS Medicine, and what they found was this, is that those who took a daily probiotic supplement from at least week 36 on through 6 months of breastfeeding found a 22% reduction in their child developing eczema. Really, really great research right there. That is clinically significant research on a massive analysis of over 400 studies and 1.5 million people. So what they found was the better the microbiome in that 1-month-old child. They looked at basically, they're looking at least by 1 month old, that they had a better immune system that was also less reactive to the common foods such as dairy products, gluten, eggs, nuts. Those are the main foods, okay? So, and all of those things increase the risk for eczema. Now, again, if your child has eczema, if anybody's child you know has eczema, in my practice, remember, it's a clinical practice. I work with people in the real world, and we've completed over a 250,000 appointments. And that's why I don't say that to say, oh, it's so many, but it's just, that's how much data I have. All I want you to know is that I have the data, and I look at it from an unbiased perspective. If your child has eczema, they simply cannot consume these 3 main ingredients. Dairy is number 1. Cow's milk is number 1. Eggs are number 2, believe it or not. And gluten is number 3. Believe it or not, gluten is not number 1 for the most part. You can do, if you have your child eat whatever they're eating right now if they have eczema, okay? Normal food, normal diet. Then run what's called a IgG food sensitivity test. And I will link that up in the notes. I'm actually going to put it in here right now. IgG. It is now officially in the notes. I'm putting the prenatal in there. A lot of things to link up today. So simply go to stephencabral.com/931. That's where all the show notes will be today. Okay. So this is a simple at-home test. It's a poke of just the child's finger, put a couple blood drops in the card. I've done it with my nieces and nephews in my family, all of them, and I've done it with my own 2 girls as well. We look at their food-based sensitivities from an IgG perspective. Not an immediate reaction, but a 2 to 3 day latent-based reaction that can cause things such as eczema or inflammation or brain fog or mood disturbances or sleep disturbances, et cetera, et cetera. So really important, again, probiotic, the daily probiotic support that we offer through Equilibrium Nutrition is just a fantastic non-dairy. It is so difficult for you to get a non-dairy. It's so difficult for us to make a non-dairy probiotic. A lot of people think that these things are easy. They're not. Making a non-dairy probiotic is not easy, but we're committed to that because so many people in our practice have a dairy sensitivity. Okay, so that's that. And then the other big thing that I have to go over right now, and this was really important as well, the same team from the Imperial College London assessed 19 trials of fish oil supplements during pregnancy. They looked at omega-3 supplementation with fish oil, and they looked at omega-6s. Omega-6s had no effect. We know that because they're not anti-inflammatory like the omega-3s are. But what they found was this, and this was done over 15,000 people. So these aren't small studies of 19 people, right? They're not small studies of 26 people like you sometimes see over like 2 months. This is 15,000 people. And the studies revealed this, an average reduction of 30% in terms of egg allergies and other allergies in 31 cases per 1,000. Pretty impressive. And then it also found this, reduced peanut allergies, right? Peanut allergies so prevalent in children. Reduced it by 38%. So pretty phenomenal. The worry with fish oil, of course, is that there might be mercury in it or just in fish in general, right? So women are warned not to eat more than 1 to 2 servings of fish per week. You do have to understand that researchers and the general public that's teaching this is not looking at it from a real scientific and what's the best way to say it? Real world perspective, okay? Not all fish are created equal. So if you're eating a lot of tuna or Chilean sea bass, or you're eating a lot of bluefish or shark or swordfish, yes, you should really not eat fish, those types of fish while pregnant, maybe once a month, okay? Those are higher in mercury, not a good idea. But if you are eating the smaller fish, such as sardines and mackerel, and you're eating things like wild shrimp, or you are eating some wild trout or wild salmon that's higher in omega-3s and that's low in mercury, well, you could eat those 3 to 4 times a week easily. That's more of a Mediterranean diet, and that would be perfectly acceptable. But of course, you have to know your source. So an easy way that we do in my practice is this. We don't overeat fish while pregnant because of the polluted seas, but we still have fish. We just eat the low mercury fish. And again, just go to stephencabral.com/podcasts and type in mercury in fish, and you'll find my podcast, and I actually gave you the chart. I'll try to link that up today. Why don't I do that? I'll make your life a little easier. Mercury in fish. So again, in general, we do a lot of hair tissue mineral analysis testing. I'll link that up as well, and that shows people their levels of mercury as well. If you are thinking about getting pregnant over the next year, I can't recommend enough doing a hair tissue mineral analysis and an organic acids test. That's our starter kit, in order to find out if you have the proper microbiome, not too much candida, and also that you look at your heavy metals, because remember, you can get rid of those heavy metals in approximately 6 weeks' time if you do the heavy metal protocol. And I will link up the heavy metal protocol as well. A lot of links today. All right, so that's that. A lot of great research today. Oh, one thing I just wanted added, there's so many people online that try to scare you. So right now, there's some very popular health teachers out there saying you shouldn't take a fish oil, omega-3 from fish, because there's so much mercury in fish. Well, that's to scare you in order to promote their vegan-based variety. And again, I don't have a problem with the vegan-based fish oil. I'm vegan-based omega-3. I don't at all. We use it in my practice for the people that I'm working with that are vegan. That makes sense. The problem is, when you're using a vegan-based omega-3, you have to take such a high dosage of it in order to get the conversion, because it only converts at about 6 to 14%. And again, this is scientifically proven that when you use algae or chia or flax, which are some of the higher omega-3s, that the conversion is low to EPA. And you need the EPA conversion in order for the higher anti-inflammatory. And during pregnancy as well, you need the higher DHA in order for the neurological-based development. So you need both. And so, that's the thing, is that the conversion isn't there. But also, so for example, it's not just Equilibrium Nutrition. Of course, we offer an omega-3 based product because we use it all the time in our practice with phenomenal results for things like estrogen dominance and inflammatory-based issues, autoimmune issues, gut issues, children's health-based issues. So we use the omega-3, whether it's the liquid or the capsules. But where does it come from? Well, it comes from fish that are lower in mercury, such as the sardines and the anchovies and the mackerel. So you have to understand that you can get fish oil from a bunch of different places. But when it's a functional medicine company, it doesn't have to just be ours. I'm not saying that at all. You can look at the Thorns and the Pure Encapsulations, and they're great companies. So it doesn't have to be ours, but ours are third-party tested. They're tested to be free of mercury and heavy metals and contaminants. So, and that's why, of course, when I use them with my wife and I use them with my family and I use them on myself, I want them to be heavy metal free. So just be careful always who you're listening to and the scare tactics that some people use, because it could prevent you from getting actually excellent results as seen in these studies. Okay, one more piece of research before we do our super nutrient of the week, and that is on green tea. It's like every day you look and there's a new study on green tea and its amazing benefits. So here's the deal though. Green tea doesn't work for everyone, but it works for most people. The people that it's not going to be great for are those with higher levels of histamines, because what happens is green tea can actually block an enzyme called diamine oxidase. And diamine oxidase helps to degrade histamines in the blood. So it's important, but there's not a lot of people out there with histamine-based issues to that degree. Someone like myself, which is more genetically prone to something called mastocytosis, which just means mast cell production, I have that issue. So do I drink green tea? No. But remember, I don't preach just what's good for me. I preach what's good for the majority of people. So I'm at the 1 out of 10, or the more like 0.5 out of 10. And anybody who's more prone to maybe allergies and asthma, those types of things, maybe that this wouldn't be appropriate for them. But the majority of people, green tea can really be highly, highly beneficial, okay? Highly beneficial. So here's the latest study with green tea. It has been shown, and it typically comes back to this plant compound EGCG, okay? It's a phytochemical. It's a plant nutrient found predominantly in green tea that helps to, it basically breaks down this thing called amyloid plaque, this ApoA1. You don't need to know what ApoA1 is. It's not the blood marker that I've talked about before, but this is something that when it accumulates, it leads to the leading causes of death and Alzheimer's. So what happens when amyloid plaque starts to accumulate in the arteries around the heart, or the carotid artery going towards the brain, or in the brain basically itself, is cuts down on the elasticity of the arteries, and it cuts down on circulation as well. So what we get is it leads to atherosclerosis, and that can be atherosclerosis around the arteries of the heart or the brain. And again, leading causes of death are basically cardiovascular-based issues, okay? There's also cancer, of course, but cardiovascular-based issues, stroke, and we have Alzheimer's, okay? So really, really important that we look at what green tea does, and we're looking at a couple cups a day. And what it does, it takes these amyloid fibers, these ApoA-1 fibers, and it breaks them down into smaller molecules, smaller particles. And that allows for less damage in the arteries, which means then less accumulation of plaque, and easier removal. So very simple, right? You can add, and I've talked about this, if you haven't downloaded my green, so it's basically my greens recipe, all you have to do is go to any podcast page. Go to stephencabral.com/931. That's today's show notes. And if you scroll down towards the bottom, you'll see these little images. One's for the smoothie report guide, one is for the greens guide. There's a great pre-workout that I put in there with green tea and greens. Put a little raw honey in, phenomenal. You can add a little bit of stevia if you want for sweetness. Really, really great. So that's an easy thing to do as a pre-workout. You could use matcha and you just shake it up and it works great. My wife does matcha every single morning. She does a matcha latte that she makes, and I don't. But again, I'm one of those strange, sensitive individuals that can't use a lot of tea-based products because of, well, for one, I consumed 3,000 capsules of amoxicillin within a 3-year time span. And that doesn't include the years before, 16 years old. Or I started taking them when I was 15, 16, 17 years old for some minor skin conditions by my dermatologist. Most likely, you probably didn't have that level of damage to your gut that I had, right? So you might do absolutely fine with it. Now, I don't have any allergies anymore. I used to have debilitating allergies. I used to have all these issues. They're all gone. But what I want to say is that I lean that way. So knowing that I lean that way, I'm always trying to stay more balanced. Now, every once in a while, can I have a cup of green tea? Sure. I don't always enjoy it. Like, it's not even my thing to enjoy, so don't worry about it too much. I get my antioxidants in other ways. But for those people too that don't do well with green tea, what I'm going to do is link up a second alternative, which would be an EGCG. I have a difficult time saying that, supplement. Now, I'll have to look one up for you by a reputable company. We don't offer that. I don't plan to offer that in the future. So I'm going to find a reputable company for you for a nice organic or wild-based source of green tea extract as the EGCG that you could take as a supplement if you chose to instead of drinking green tea. All right. So many more product reviews coming in the future. I'm actually taking a remote week outside of Boston in Maine next week. We're going to be doing a lot of study, a lot of reading, catching up. I'm going to be recording my last few modules for upcoming certification. Excited to share that with you very, very soon. It's going to be amazing, absolutely amazing. Literally can't wait. And it's just going to grow and grow over the 90 days of when we launch it. But we're going to offer it to 100 founding charter members in September, just for 100 people that know that they're going to be the founders of it, right? They're going to be the beginning members, and they're going to watch it grow over those 90 days. And of course, they'll get a special price for that, just because we really do appreciate our community. No more so than me, I think. But so many great things. I have over a dozen products that I have waiting for me to review. Everything from vegan sneakers, a brand new glucometer that is getting rave reviews, a chi machine that I can't wait to tell you about, and much more. Okay, amazing stuff. Last part today is going over our super nutrient of the week. Real quick, what is this? Most people have never heard of it. It is called trimethylglycine, TMG. What is trimethylglycine? Well, really simple. Trimethylglycine, most people have heard of it in a different form, and that is called betaine anhydrous or anhydrous. Well, what is it? Well, it works as a great methyl donor. So a lot of people hear about methylation-based defects or mutations within their genes, leading to more inflammation, poor detoxification, et cetera, et cetera. Well, what does that look like on the outside? Well, it's a lot of people right now suffering from these inflammatory-based conditions, such as higher cholesterol or heart disease or inflammation of the arteries, higher homocysteine, poor circulation, erectile dysfunction, or kind of poor exercise because there's poor blood flow, a lot of headaches or low mood, depression, seasonal affective disorder, autism in children, poor blood sugar regulation, meaning higher blood sugar, diabetes, excessive stress, and adding body weight. Well, what does trimethylglycine do? What does betaine do? Well, it is found in plants. It's found in anything higher in nitric oxide, and that includes beets as well, beetroot. So if you do a shot of beet juice, you'll certainly be getting your NO, or you'll be getting your betaine in that. And it was first discovered, I believe, in sugar beets. So what does it do? Well, it essentially helps to protect the body under stress. That's one of the main things that it does. I'll talk about it, how you can get it from your food in just a moment. But one of the main things that I like using TMG for, or trimethylglycine for, is whenever someone comes back on their blood work with homocysteine. So that's why most PCPs and doctors are not going to run your homocysteine. You have to ask for it. I did a podcast on this, and it says what to ask for on your blood work, or just type in blood work or blood labs at stephencabral.com/podcast. And that's why I know that it's my podcast, and of course I know that I'm biased. But if you go back and you listen to all the previous podcasts, this is what I wanted when I was going through naturopathy school. This is what I wanted when I was a sick kid at 17 years old. I'm just trying to give you a drip every day of a half hour of information that I believe that is applicable for you and your family, your loved ones. This is just things that we need to know. Most people unless you're in this field, unless you're in the functional medicine field, you wouldn't know to ask for homocysteine on your blood work, but it's so important because it's not just cholesterol that causes heart disease. cholesterol is only one factor. And I know a lot of people would argue with that, but it's still incorrect to argue against it because it's the big three. It's cholesterol, and you can even break down cholesterol into apolipoproteins and all those little things that we talk about as well. I'll get onto that in a future show, but really look at cholesterol, look at homocysteine, and look at CRP. If cholesterol is elevated above 200, if homocysteine is elevated above a 10, even though they say the range can go up to 12 to 15, really above a 10, though, is where we start to see too much inflammation. And CRP, if that's above a 1, ideally it should be below a 0.5, then you're at much, much greater risk for a heart attack. So what do? Well, typically in your blood work, they only run cholesterol. And so that's why homocysteine and CRP needs to be run. And if you're someone at high risk, you might even run a high sensitivity and HS-CRP. These are all things that we need to know. We need to know because our PCP, our doctors, most likely, unless you've really struck gold and you have a great PCP, they're not going to offer to run those for you. So the reason why I look at that homocysteine, if someone has high homocysteine, right away I'm using B12, I'm using natural-based folate, a methylfolate or nature folate, and I'm using this thing called TMG. Why? Because it's a methyl donor that actually helps to prevent high levels of homocysteine. So what does it do? Well, it essentially helps to convert homocysteine back into methionine. And you don't need to know what that means, but it doesn't allow your homocysteine levels to get too high in terms of inflammation of the arteries, which can lead to constriction of the arteries or even plaque-based development. So really important to look at that. One of the other things that trimethylglycine is great for is improving, if you used it as betaine, hydrochloride, betaine, that's how most people hear about it. Good for obviously for digestion, but it increases nitric oxide. And I think that's important to talk about as well, because a lot of people, when nitric oxide gets improved, they have better brain clarity, they have better exercise performance. There aren't as many circulation-based issues, including erectile dysfunction, but also just the removal with blood flow of waste from the body, right? The whole body can move better, it can be oxygenated better, really help overall. So very, very important. It works in conjunction with choline as well. If you don't know what choline is, again, go back to StephenCabral.com/podcast and type in choline, CHOLINE, and that is another great thing that we need for both brain and body. So what is it TMG good for? It helps with body composition, helps with the heart, helps with blood sugar, very powerful antioxidant-based effects, helps with the brain and depression. It may also help with autism-based symptoms, right? It's not the cure-all for autism, but it can certainly help. All right, let's move down. What I want to talk about as well is that where we can get it. Well, we can get it from certain types of wheat, but I know that I'm not a proponent of eating a lot of gluten. Other natural-based substances would be beef or chicken or fish or shrimp, most shellfish in general. Where can we get it from? Our veggies and our fruit? It would be from spinach and beets and avocados and asparagus and potatoes. Okay, so there are many different dosages to use. I always recommend starting on the lower side of these types of supplements. And if you feel any nausea or sleep disturbances or loose stool or vomiting or even in higher dosages, potentially hair loss, you'll obviously need to cut back. Our activated B complex, which is of course our free product this month, does contain 400 milligrams over 2 capsules a day. If you were to take 2 capsules per day, you could take one at breakfast and one at lunch. That would give you 400, which is the first starting dose of TMG. But you can also take all the way up to about 2.5 grams per day. Now, of course, the upper limit of TMG is 9 to 12 grams a day, quite a lot, but I don't think anybody's really going to need that. So what I'll do is I'll link up, of course, the activated B complex, which is complimentary while supplies last, but I'm also going to link up Allergy Research Group's TMG as well, and that's just a specific trimethylglycine supplement that is a higher dosage. So each capsule, I believe, is 750 milligrams, which means if you took 3 of those a day, you'd be at that top level if you do have whatever issues may be going on. Another one that I recommend for high levels of homocysteine, again, you don't usually need to go this high, is a Thorne research-based product called MethylGuard Plus. So they're all great products, and they're all great companies, and they do their third-party testing, which is really, really important. That is it for today. Of course, we've been going a little over in the Cabral concept. What I want you to know is I'm conscious of that and I'm aware of that, and I want to keep my shows below 30 minutes. So starting next week, I'll be back on track. I will stop being so long-winded and we'll get back on track next week. Thank you so much. Be sure to tune in tomorrow where we start our weekend Cabral house calls where I answer our community's questions each and every weekend. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have an amazing weekend, and I will talk with you soon. Before you go, I wanted to ask you this question. What if I could teach you in just a couple of hours how to transform your thyroid, hormones, adrenal, cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight loss, energy, mood, brain, pregnancy, anti-aging, or many other health-related issues? After 20 years in private practice, after seeing and overseeing 250,000 client appointments, I sincerely feel I have the real-world data and have found the answer you've been searching for. So what I've done is spent hundreds of hours of my own time refining what you need to know in order to uncover your underlying root cause health issues and then begin to rebalance the body and bring it back to a state of robust health and wellness. I'm going to teach you exactly what I do in my private practice so you can understand how you got here and now what you need to do in order to heal. You'll receive all of the important success checklists, protocols, and even ways to customize it to make the program fit your busy life. And you'll get all of this at a fraction of the price. Let me save you the time, money, energy, stress, and frustration of not knowing what to do next. Instead of reading dozens of books on the topic and seeing multiple practitioners, I will condense everything that you need to know in just a few hours of video tutorials that you can watch and listen to anywhere. Together, we will make this healing process an enjoyable one that you can take with you for the rest of your life. I wish you all of the best of health and happiness, and I hope to be able to guide you on your healing journey through my Health Results Accelerators. Simply choose the health imbalance you're currently suffering from, and by the end of today, you'll know what went wrong and how to get well again. I guarantee it. For details, head over now to stephencabral.com/courses.